First Sunday of Advent. The beginning of the Christmas season, or the beginning of the holiday season. And for some of us, it can be a time of great merriment, great cheer, great community, great caring, great everything. And for others of us, it can be a time that's more difficult. It can be a time that's challenging. It can be a time that highlights how we feel differently than other people. It can be a time of depression or retraction or loneliness or isolation. And it really is pretty much a season of dichotomy, because both things are going on in us. And with this split in us, it's sometimes hard to reconcile the two sides of ourselves, or the two sides of what we see going on in other people, because we want to focus on the eat, drink, and be merry part. We want to be like the television commercials. We want to be like those movies that we've maybe seen 40 or 50 times. So we don't always want to focus on the difficult or the challenge or the issue or the uncomfortableness. We actually want to do what I call a spiritual bypass. I don't know if you're familiar with the term spiritual bypass, but it's really pretty much when we want to put a happy face sticker on something that's not quite so happy. It's when we experience a discomfort, or we're experiencing or even having the memory of a woe, and we want to bypass it. We want to just skip it. We want to say, la 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 la, this is not happening to me. La 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 la, I don't really feel that way. We want to spiritually bypass, and actually that is not a service to us at all. We want to put on one of those holy and intellectual persona that reads about it, that talks about it, that contemplates it, and that, you know the holy persona that I'm talking about, that just wants to own everything away? It's a temptation. It's a temptation, but in New Thought and in the Unity philosophy, we actually consider these things that are bubbling up inside us, these uncomfortable things that are bubbling up inside us to be healed, a blessing. And some believe that pain is actually necessary to rocket or ratchet up our spiritual growth and evolution. Now, in New Thought and Unity, we don't go around telling people, whoopee, I'm so glad you're in so much pain. Oh, hot dog, you're feeling really terrible today. We don't do that. We honor people right where we are. I call Unity of Wilmington a come as you are party, because this is an entire community that will say, hey, how you feeling? Joy, fabulous, I'll do the happy dance with you. Ambivalence? Well, I'll just honor you right where you are. And if you're feeling uncomfortable or troubled, we will weave with you a tapestry of love to surround you and support you as you grow through that experience. We are a community that is with you, and in this moment, right today, we are all on the same spiritual path. It may be a different path that got us in the door. It may be a different path that we follow after we walk out the door. But somehow our spiritual paths, our roads, our journey has intersected in this one moment. So here we are together in this moment, together on the same page. Isn't that amazing? Oh man, what the universe can conspire to do. So I want to invite you to turn to one person near you and say, I'm glad you're here today. Okay, you know that one person doesn't make up a community, it's two, so turn to a second person and say, I'm glad you're here today. Yeah. Okay, wait for it, because here it comes. I want you to turn to a third person. And before you say anything to the third person, I want you to look at them in the eyeballs. And then say, I'm glad you're here today. And then I want you to add this phrase. Who you are makes a difference. Who you are makes a difference. Who you are makes a difference. This connection is nice, isn't it? This connection, this caring, this community is a way to remind ourselves of the Christ consciousness that is present in other people. This connection, this community and caring is an opportunity to remind us of the Christ consciousness that's in us, that is in each one of us. What we just did was say, I behold the Spirit of you, in different words, but that's what we did. I behold the Spirit in you. And ultimately, during the holiday season, in Christian traditions, they culminate with Christmas Day, the day we celebrate the birth of Jesus. And in unity, that birth of Jesus is that spark of awareness, like that unfolding of greater awareness of our oneness with God. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, says it this way. The way to do this is the way Jesus did it. He acknowledged himself to be the Son of God. The attainment of the Christ consciousness calls for nothing less on our part than a definite recognition of ourselves as sons of God's right here and now, regardless of appearances to the contrary. We know that we are sons of God. Then why not acknowledge it and proceed to take possession of our God right? Why not take possession of our God right? Why not take possession of that awareness that the divinity of God begins in us? It begins in you. And it begins in you. And it begins in you. No one else. I could say that it began with me. But then the rest of you would be like going, tick-tock, Mindy, hurry up. Let it begin in you so it can begin in me. But that's not the way it works. It begins in you. You are that magnificence. You are that expression of God. You are the unfolding, ever-brightening Christ consciousness. You are uniquely you. And I behold the Spirit of you. Samuel Tribble was a U.S. congressman from Georgia in the early 1900s, just about the time that Unity was growing as a movement, and in fact, Unity was spreading at the same time of his tenure in Congress all around the world. I don't know if it's a coincidence. It's probably more like synchronicity. But Congressman Tribble and his wife were doing things that Unity teaches. Raising their children to be aware that they are unique, powerful, magnificent expressions of God. They had a little girl, and that little girl went everywhere that they went. So they would walk into a room, and there'd be a group of people, and it wasn't very much time before people would go over to her and say, well, isn't this sweet? You're Congressman Tribble's daughter. And they would coo at her, and she would say, yes, I am. And then she'd go into another group, and you're Congressman Tribble's daughter. And she'd say, yes, I am. And one day she came home in tears, and she told her mother and father, I don't want to be your daughter anymore. I want to be me. I want to be me. And the congressman said, he loved on her, and he said, I love you just for who you are, and you are your own person no matter what anybody else thinks. But her mother had a very practical suggestion. Unity is good at practical suggestions. And what she said was, darling, next time somebody says, oh, you're Congressman Tribble's daughter, you just turn right around and say, oh no, I'm Constant Tribble. I'm Constance Tribble. So it didn't take very long before she was in yet another group, and somebody said to her, oh, Congressman Tribble must be your father. And she turned around, she looked him in the eye and said, oh no, that's not what my mother said. Here's a spiritual lesson. Does it matter what your mother is that you are uniquely you. You are your own person. You are valuable just for who you are. You are magnificent. The poet Rumi says this, do you know what you are? You are a manuscript of a divine letter. You are a mirror reflecting a noble face. This universe is not outside of you. Look inside yourself. Everything that you want, you are already that. I behold the spirit of you. You are a unique expression of God. One of my favorite chants is by Laurie and Robert Anderson. They were a duo called Devotion. And so we'll play. So I'll sing the first part and then you echo back, right? You know how chants go? Okay. I am an expression of the Spirit, a unique, unrepeatable expression of God.
A unique, unrepeatable expression of God.
I'm fabulous. I've got it. An expression of the Spirit. I behold the Spirit of you. You've got it. How many of you are familiar with Abraham Maslow? He was considered the founder of the humanistic psychology movement. He developed this pyramid that was a hierarchy of needs, and the bottom two are the physiological needs. And he said, before anything else, we need air, we need food, we need water, we need shelter in order to survive. And once we get that, we can move up the hierarchy, and then we can work on financial security, we can work on stability. And once those physiological needs are taken care of, then we go to levels 3 and 4, love and belonging, self-esteem. We all want to love and be loved. We all want to see ourselves as the unique human beings, individuals that we are. We all have a little bit of Constance Tribble in us. We want to have that. And then Maslow, at this time, with the first go-round, concluded his hierarchy with self-actualization. He later added self-transcendence to the top, which makes sense. In Unity, we believe that all of these needs are going on concurrently, just like the different levels of consciousness are alive and active in us simultaneously. Maslow thought it was a hierarchy. You had to have one before the other. But I'm here to tell you that unless you're getting enough sleep, you cannot be creative. And unless you have some kind of financial security, you can't be spontaneous. And unless you have some kind of self-esteem, you can't go out and live from your inner potential. You have to have all of them going on at the same time. Maslow said, what a man can be, he must be. So we must be our unique selves. We must be our unique selves. You are a manuscript of the divine letter. You are a mirror reflecting a noble image. The entirety of the universe is alive in you. Everything you want is already there. Let's say this from the I am perspective. Together, I am a manuscript of a divine letter. I am a mirror reflecting a noble image. The entire universe lives inside me, and everything that I want is already there. I am the light of the world. Breathe in. I behold the Spirit of you. You are the best you there ever was and ever will be. You are the best you that ever was and ever will be. I'm writing it right here. You are the best you that ever was and ever will be. I invite you to turn to somebody who you connected at the beginning of the lesson, one of those 3 people. Look at that and tell them, we can do it. You just look at them. Repeat after me. Find them. You are the best you there ever was and ever will be. And now you've heard it from somebody other than the minister. Let's say it together. I am the best me that ever was and ever will be. And so it is. I behold the Spirit of you. I behold the Spirit of you. So regardless of all the feelings and emotions and events and experiences that are bubbling up in us during this holiday season, it truly is the most wonderful time of the year. Because you are the best you there ever was and ever will be. Let's sing our way into meditation.